Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Why Are People Whining and Complaining About This? And in today's episode, we're going to be covering a controversial topic that really shouldn't be controversial, and that is deepfake prawn. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of the incident with QT Cinderella that happened a few weeks ago, where one of her friends paid for a deepfake porn of her, and she made a video whining and crying about it. Well, now another Twitch streamer who goes by the name of Sweet Anita has discovered that there are deepfake porns of her, and she made a video whining and crying about it. Now, I found that her commentary on this matter fits what I've seen from a lot of people in the Twitch community, especially women. So I figured responding to what she has said and criticizing her point by point makes sense, because these are the arguments I've been seeing from a lot of women all over the place, and I think they're completely and utterly nonsensical. I come from the perspective that deepfake porn is not inherently harmful, it's not inherently illegal, and it may offend people, but it's not wrong or immoral or illegal on the basis of it being offensive. So we're going to go through Sweet Anita's video, and I'm going to rebut each of her claims point by point in typical fashion. And actually, before we get into the video itself, you should take note of the title of her video, which is Deepfakes Are Ruining My Life. That is awfully dramatic, especially considering right at the beginning of her video, she said,
there is a whole website, multiple websites dedicated to creating, on commission, videos of a sexual nature of anyone you want. And I actually found out when Atrioc apologized for accessing one of those websites.
It's still so embarrassing to me. But I was on fucking Pornhub, dude. I was on a fucking regular-ass, normal fucking website.
The whole situation led me to be a bit curious and be like, wait, am I on these websites? So I went and Googled it, and unfortunately, I had also been deepfaked by this person.
So she literally exposed herself in the first couple minutes of her own video. She wants you to believe that deepfakes are ruining her life, but she wasn't even aware that anybody even made deepfakes of her, and she had to go out of her way to search for it. Normally, when things are ruining your life, you're kind of aware of it. Like, you know, if you're addicted to drugs and alcohol, you kind of know that's going on. If you have an abusive relationship or you're getting beaten by your parents, you kind of know that's going on. But apparently, something that she wasn't even aware of, that she couldn't even conceivably known is affecting her life in any way, was ruining her life. So this kind of begins the theme throughout this video, where she just wants to use these sort of tactics to gain sympathy, to manipulate you into thinking that she's a victim somehow, even though she has no way of actually proving she's a victim of anything. Throughout this entire video, she has not provided one single example of how these deepfake porns have affected her in any meaningful way. She hasn't provided an example of this making her less money, it affecting her relationships, ruining her business in any way. Nothing. So she has to do these things, claiming it's ruining my life, yet admitting she had no idea this is going on.
Someone put my face onto porn and sold it. And if you don't understand just how convincing deepfakes are, have a look at some of these videos.
I am not Morgan Freeman, and what you see is not real.
It was love at first sight.
It so was.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time.
This is the level to which deepfake has gotten in the past few years, so things have changed, and so have the consequences.
So this is one of the better arguments I've seen against deepfake porn, and honestly, it's still not a very good argument. So the argument essentially goes that because deepfakes are so good, so convincing, the technology is just, you know, so great, you can very easily make a deepfake of somebody that is so convincing that it's indistinguishable from a reality. And if somebody is deepfaked into a scene where they're committing illegal activity or doing compromising acts like porn, you can very easily destroy somebody's reputation and harm them in some kind of tangible way? Well, first of all, we live in a technologically savvy society, so people kind of know that deepfakes exist. So especially when you're talking about public figures, like she demonstrated, like Morgan Freeman or Barack Obama, if somebody were to make a deepfake porn of them, people would probably know, okay, well, I know Barack Obama's a president, and I know Morgan Freeman is a well-respected actor. He probably didn't do this, and this is probably fake. Maybe you can get away with this when it comes to people who aren't public figures, who aren't well-known, and you could maybe, fool any particular individual that some random person actually did a sex act. But especially when you're talking about public figures, the likelihood of actually convincing somebody that this happened is pretty goddamn low. On top of that, like any kind of manufactured or composited image, there are giveaways that it is faked. Even in the scenes that sweet Anita showed, there's an uncanny valley effect where it looks fake. It uses an AI simulation, and the AI looks at a given set of images, and it generates new unique images and superimposes it onto somebody else's face. Depending on how many AI simulations you run, you are going to get a certain amount of artifacting, so like pixelating, smudging. If you don't have somebody whose skin tone matches the target subject, it's also going to look kind of weird if their facial features are significantly different. So if their face is much wider, much longer, if their nose protrudes out more, it's going to stretch the subject image. And again, it's not going to look right. So there are very easy giveaways that these have been faked. And again, we're living in a technologically savvy society. It's not like if you were to go back in time to 1980, where most people had never even owned a computer in their life. Photoshop wasn't invented yet. And yeah, if you were to go back into the 1980s and show somebody some of this stuff, they'd likely be convinced that, oh, this is real. But again, we're living in 2023. The idea that, oh, it's so easy to fake and fool people. No, not really. And secondly, let's just say for the sake of argument that somebody hated you, wanted to ruin your reputation or blackmail you, so they created a deepfake porn that was entirely convincing. Everybody who saw it thought it was real, and they wanted to harm your reputation like this. Well, that is illegal. People have been doing this since film has existed. You don't need AI, computers to do this. All you need is film, analog technology. Since film has existed, people have taken a photograph of some people doing something like porn, taking a photograph of somebody's face, and then cutting out that piece of film, putting their face onto somebody else's body. And people have been blackmailed, threatened, extorted, using film. So if you're going to claim that, oh, deepfake porn is bad because somebody could use it for illegal activity, that doesn't make deepfake porn bad. That just makes the illegal activity for which it is being used bad.
I really fucking am.
Pokimane was actually one of the people who was included in the streamers who were deepfaked. There were people coming into a chat saying, look at this photo or that photo of you that you posted, trying to justify sexualizing her as if she brought it on herself.
For anybody who's all up in my comments like, oh, look at this photo you posted. Look at this photo you posted. What about Maya? Literally makes the most wholesome content on earth and still deals with the exact same issues as me. Also, people can post whatever they want, and that still means that you need their consent to do certain things, including sexualizing them and then profiting off of it. Are you?
And now the complete and utter nonsense begins. So Sweet Anita is claiming people are sexualizing Pokimane, and in no way did she bring this upon herself. Well, here's a few clips from Pokimane's streams.
Live, you know, Lil Ju made it. Hands on my knees, shaking ass on my thigh shit. Post me a pic, finna make me a profit. When
Elephant. Oh my god, thank the good Lord. I gotta pee. Okay, bye. Oh, fuck. Closer? You want to look at the individual lines in my mouth? Yasu. Oh my god, you can see my pores. That's crazy. Oh my god.
Yeah, I wonder why people are sexualizing Pokimane. I just don't understand it. Clearly didn't bring that upon herself in any way. Being serious now, obviously, Pokimane sexualizes herself on her streams. This is no secret. Everybody knows her career on Twitch is based off of turning on young boys and young men, and she does sexy stuff on stream so that she can get their money through tips. That is no secret. And let's just say for the sake of argument that Pokimane does not try to sexualize herself on her streams, but her fans still do that. What is meant by sexualizing? What does that mean when that word is used? What does it mean to be sexualized? What does it mean to be sexy? What can and can't be sexualized and relate to sex? I mean, there are people who find legs sexy. There are people who find butts sexy. There are people who find smooth skin sexy. There are people who find faces and mouths and tongues sexy. There are people who even find piss and shit sexy, and they get sexual gratification from being pissed and shit on. There are people who even find mundane, normal parts of people's bodies sexy, like hands.
The next one is very weird, but I am part of the club. I find this incredibly sexy, and it is your hands. Me and my friends in college would legitimately sit and talk about guys' hands if we liked them or if we didn't. Probably not the conversation you're thinking that we're having. Maybe other girls are not as weird as me and my friends were, but I'm just being honest. It is absolutely something we notice, and no discrimination here. You don't have to have perfectly soft, manicured hands in order to be considered Mr. Hot Hands. A lot of women like hands that have calluses or are a little bit rough to show that you work with your hands on the daily or you go to the gym.
That clip you just saw is from the YouTube channel Courtney Ryan, who's run by Courtney Ryan. She gives dating advice, and she finds hands sexy. She will look at dudes' hands and get turned on. Is she sexualizing men? Is she objectifying them in some way? Is it wrong for her to find hands sexy, even though men aren't intentionally trying to sexualize themselves with their hands? What Sweet Anita and Pokimane are really doing here is saying you are guilty of thought crimes. Because of just the nature of what you find sexy and what you sexualize, you are an immoral person because you might think their ass or their tits or their face or their mouth is sexy, or their hands or their piss and shit. It could be anything, but you are committing thought crimes just by the nature of your own sex and sexuality, because apparently it's wrong to be attracted to somebody else if you don't get permission from the other person. It is nonsense. And just to prove another point of hypocrisy, Sweet Anita sexualizes men herself without their permission, without them deliberately trying to sexualize themselves. Here's a clip of Sweet Anita on stream recounting a story where she met a very handsome utility worker who she was just, knocked back by how good looking he was, and she was checking out his body, including his ass.
Now, this gas man looked like an even cuter version of Captain America. You know in anime when you open the door and someone's literally sparkling? There's a sound effect and there's a guy and it's pink background and hearts in the background and it's just hello, I've come to change your gas meter. It was like that. I was like, whoa. I'm so sorry I'm late, guys. At least I had a good view, but I was late because there was someone fixing my gas meter. And he heard me complimenting him outside my front door because he hadn't left yet. And he slipped his phone number on a little card through my door. I thought he was still here. I was like, I definitely let him out, right? Because he's just there listening to me go, did I check out his ass? I don't know.
So this to me just reeks of entitlement. When these women see a hot guy, it's fine for them to talk about, oh my god, he's so hot, his ass is just amazing, oh my god, look at his body, he's like Captain America. But when men do it, oh, shameful, how dare you sexualize women. And as far as sexualizing somebody in artwork, whether it be deepfake porn, paintings, what have you, and making money off of it, What's the argument against that? How is it immoral? It's at least inherently not breaking any laws. They have no argument. All they really want to say is, I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't like it for some reason, and they really have no basis for their argument. So they just have to use these emotional manipulation tactics and shame you for your sexuality.
We're very upset. Cutie Cinderella actually released a very heartfelt and very emotional statement when she discovered she had been deepfake.
Fuck Atrioc for showing it to thousands of people. Fuck the people DMing me pictures of myself from that website. Fuck you all. This is what it looks like. This is what the pain looks like.
And when you see things like that, it's very hard not to sympathize.
Again, what is the argument? What is the argument against deepfake porn? What is the basis for your claim that it should be seen as immoral or perhaps be made illegal? All Sweet Anita is doing is saying, see, it offended somebody. She cried a lot. Like, okay, so because something offends somebody and makes somebody cry, it should be seen as immoral or possibly made illegal? Should paintings of the Prophet Muhammad be illegal or be seen as immoral because it offends some people?
An online lecture during a global art history class at Hamlin University, Dr. Erica Lopez Prater, an adjunct professor, showed an image of the Prophet Muhammad. She told the New York Times she took precautions before showing her students a depiction of the Prophet. She put a warning in her syllabus, asked students to contact her with any problems, and also told the class right before the painting would be shown in case they wanted to leave. But a student complained to university administrators, and as a result, Dr. Lopez Prater will no longer teach there.
I'm 23 years old. I've never seen a picture of a prophet.
The Muslim student in that classroom was Aram Wada Talab. She says she's received a lot of threats since the incident.
It hurts and it breaks my heart to stand here to tell people and beg people to understand me.
Oh, see that? A painting of the Prophet Muhammad made a Muslim woman cry. Well, I guess paintings of the Prophet Muhammad are immoral or maybe should be made illegal because it made somebody cry. Apparently, that's the standard for what is and isn't moral, what should and shouldn't be illegal, if it makes somebody cry. I am sure there is plenty of things on the internet that would make Cutie Cinderella cry. Should all of those things be banned, regardless of whether or not they're harming somebody, regardless of whether or not they are illegal? Just whether or not it offends her sensibilities, it should be made illegal. Should this video be made illegal? Is what I'm doing immoral, sharing my honest viewpoints just because it could possibly make Cutie Cinderella cry? Me being maybe to some extent insensitive to her viewpoint, maybe saying things that offends her in this video, if it made her cry, should my video be taken down? Should I be censored? Is what I'm doing immoral or illegal because it could possibly make Cutie Cinderella cry? And look at it this way, at the end of the day, Cutie Cinderella is crying, bawling her eyes out at the fact that somebody essentially used a program not too dissimilar from Photoshop to take her face and clip it onto somebody else's body. There are sick, horrible, disgusting things being uploaded to the internet every day. There's war footage from Ukraine. You can see people getting blown to bits by rocket strikes, innocent civilians. There are, natural disasters like earthquakes that are killing people. And there are literal murders, rapes being uploaded to the internet. And Cutie Cinderella is bawling her eyes out, crying and acting like a close family member died because somebody photoshopped her face onto somebody else's body. This is obviously a massive overreaction, and to me, it just seems like she is just a very selfish person, of all things to cry about, acting like she's a victim over this, when in no tangible way is this affecting her life. She just saw something online that offended her, and that's it. She's not losing any money, she's not losing friends, it's not affecting her business. She just saw something online, and she's crying about it. Why should I feel any sympathy? And the women who are sticking up for her, like Sweet Anita, like Pokimane, their only argument is, it offends me and men are committing thought crimes because they find me attractive.
First experience of this, my first knowledge of it existing, was as a weapon to humiliate and degrade women.
Again, this is just pure nonsense. What she's doing is trying to emotionally manipulate people so that they tie things like sexism to deepfakes when it has nothing to do with sexism, at least not inherently. Hate to break it to you, sweet Anita, but there aren't just deepfakes made of women. Look at any male celebrities or content creators, you will find deepfakes of them. You will find deepfake porns of PewDiePie, you'll find deepfake porns of Mr. Beast, you can look up deepfake porns of Chris Hemsworth, Henry Cavill. There are deepfake porns of every major content creator and celebrity, men and women. This isn't being used as a tool to attack women. No, guys just want to see these deepfakes to fucking wax their carrot. They have to jerk off to something, and then you're turning this into, you're trying to degrade me. No, men just want to jerk off. That's it. Don't turn this into anything else other than that.
People started photoshopping her face onto pornography, and specifically sex acts that were considered degrading.
There were images made, pornographic images made in my likeness being raped by video game characters and sent to me again and again. There was even a game made where players were invited to beat the bitch up, in which, upon clicking on the screen, an image of me would become increasingly battered and bruised.
And believe me, people have been making porn of people non-consensually for hundreds of years.
Again, what's the argument against this? People do not have to respect you when they make artwork. They don't have to put you on a pedestal. They don't have to make you look good. Artwork can be degrading. Artwork can be criticizing. Artwork can be humiliating. Look at any public figure or celebrity that has appeared on South Park. Do you think South Park needs permission from some celebrity for them to degrade, humiliate, and embarrass them on their show?
That town thinks they can say whatever they want about people and get away with it.
No. The only thing mentioned in this little clip here that could be considered morally wrong is the harassment aspect, where this is being sent to the person. Yes, that could be considered bullying, but again, just by nature of making artwork that is offensive, that criticizes somebody, that is designed with the intent to offend somebody, that does not make it immoral, and that doesn't mean it should be made illegal. If that were the case, imagine how much artwork, especially that's politically charged in nature, would have to be banned or be seen as immoral or be censored. Again, what is the argument against any of this? Nobody needs your consent to make some sort of artwork that depicts you in some sort of way that you find degrading, demeaning, or embarrassing.
Back when we used to persecute witches in the medieval times, we would draw them and make these paintings of them kissing the ass of the devil. And there were actual, really in-depth drawings of analingus between women and the devil to degrade and humiliate her and make her out to be a terrible person. And let's not forget that we would use this trope to justify burning these women alive, like it was a way to dehumanize them and make them seem beneath respect and equal treatment. So as far as I could tell, like all of my early examples of seeing this kind of content, this non-consensual, completely fabricated sexual content of people, was to ridicule and humiliate them. And historically, that's how it's been used.
Okay, when you're drawing a bridge between deepfake porn, which for the most part, people aren't creating to commit illegal acts, they're just making pornography for dudes to jerk off to, drawing a bridge from that to burning women alive at the stake, what are you even doing here? I cannot take you seriously. And again, she's making an anti-free speech argument here. Apparently, because artwork could be deemed offensive or make somebody look bad, it should be illegal. I guess most South Park episodes should be illegal or at least be seen as immoral. I guess what I'm doing here right now, by criticizing you, challenging your intelligence, and accusing you of dishonesty, I guess this is immoral? Am I doing something illegal by doing this because I could potentially make you look bad? It's nonsense. Again, just because you make somebody look bad, just because you might find something offensive, how does that by nature make it immoral or make it illegal? It doesn't. You just find this type of thing offensive and you don't have any way to verbalize this, and you're just using these dishonest emotional manipulation tactics, bridging this gap between deepfake porn and burning women at the stake, just nonsense because you can't verbalize any coherent arguments, and the only thing that's rattling inside your head is, this offends me. How am I going to convince other people that it should offend them too?
But if you look at a whole bunch of these comments, you'll see that so many people out there don't understand what the problem with this is. Is there really any difference between this and some random viewers sexualizing them in their mind? I hate to break it to you, but you don't own the visage of your face. Log off. You're not a victim. What's the problem? Why do you care? This just comes with the job. Like, this is normal. This is just a sexual fantasy. It's not that deep. Why do you care? And there's a distinct lack of empathy and a lot of people who are genuinely confused as to what's the problem with it. And I'd say consent. Consent is the main problem. Like, when someone doesn't choose to sexually engage with you, but you sexually engage with them anyway, that is a problem.
Again, this makes no fucking sense. Again, fundamentally, nobody needs your consent to make artwork. Secondly, how is making a deepfake porn of somebody sexually engaging with them? You're not having sex with them. You're not forcing them to have sex with anyone else. It's a composited image. So, by this logic, if making a deepfake porn of somebody is sexually engaging with them, if I were to make a deepfake of somebody boxing, am I physically and violently engaging with them? If I were to make a deepfake of somebody working at an office job, am I professionally engaging with them? There's just no reason or logic. What she's trying to do is attach these negative things to deepfake porn. Oh, lack of consent. Oh, sexualizing. Oh, objectifying. Oh, it's demeaning towards women. None of this is true. None of it is true. She's just trying to attach these bad things to deepfake porn when they are not necessarily attached. And I'd really like to know what Sweet Anita actually means when she says people are sexually engaging with her without her consent. Well, like, again, you don't necessarily need deepfake porn to masturbate to Sweet Anita. I'm sure people are looking out deepfake porns because it is more sexually charged. It allows them to visualize things better so that they have a better experience masturbating. But I can guarantee you both men and women have masturbated to Sweet Anita while she's streaming. I'm sure there's men and women who have masturbated to the photos she's uploaded where she isn't even naked. Are they engaging with you in a sexual manner without your consent? Like, what do you mean by this? And why is this a problem? Like, are people not allowed to masturbate to you in any shape or form? Is it only when it comes to deepfakes? What is unique about deepfakes where it's wrong to masturbate? Like, I don't know what she even means by this. So it's really hard to come up with arguments against this because she doesn't explain herself. I can only assume. And to me, honestly, all this just seems to come down to self-entitlement. She's offended by these deepfakes personally. It just affects her emotionally on some, like, you know, illogical, guttural level. And she doesn't know how to properly verbalize this to convince people why it should offend them. So she just comes up with bullshit. It's non-consensual. It's basically rape. Oh, it's sexualizing. Like, what does any of this shit mean? Nothing. Just get over it. People masturbate to you. Fucking who cares?
Imagine that you found a video of you on the internet where you were stamping on a kitten to death and everyone thought you were a complete asshole and people hated you and your boss was considering firing you and your family don't want anything to do with you and your friends are starting to leave and you don't know if your life's ever going to be the same again and you don't feel safe walking down the street because now loads of people hate you because of something you never did.
So how the hell does this relate to deepfake porn and how does this relate to your personal experience with deepfake porn? So first of all, you gave an example of somebody using deepfake technology not to make a porn, but to make a scene depicting somebody committing a criminal act. That, in and of itself, is a criminal act. You can't make a deepfake or a composited image with the intent to convince people that somebody's committing a criminal act. So again, problem solved. This is already illegal. And secondly, how does this relate to your personal experience with deepfake porn? It does not. Nobody has made a deepfake porn of you that they tried to pass it off as real, and people were actually convinced that it was real. I've searched your name into Google search results. I've looked for a deepfake porn of Sweet Anita. I'm not going to show it on screen, obviously. But again, they're listed on deepfake websites. On the title of these videos, it says they are fake, and if you watch the videos, they are clearly faked. They are filled with artifacts. You can clearly tell the people didn't use many sweeps with the AI simulation to make a more accurate simulation. There's smudging, there's blurring, there's pixelation. They're also not very well imposed. They found people who have very different body shapes, different heights, different body proportions, different skin tones. Her face is either elongated or stretched because they can't find somebody with her specific facial proportions that are accurate enough to really, make it convincing. None of this in any way relates to your personal experience with deepfakes. And again, most people who have been deepfaked, this does not relate to them in any way. And the hypothetical situation that she's made regarding deepfakes being used to commit illegal activity, this is not unique to deepfakes. You can do this with analog film. So like I said before, I think Sweet Anita just had a very emotional reaction when she saw these deepfakes of her, and rather than actually coming up with any arguments for why these deepfakes are immoral or inherently immoral or should be illegal or regulated, she's just trying to emotionally manipulate people into believing that they should be offended with her. She's made this disanalogous example where somebody used a deepfake to frame somebody for committing a criminal act. That's never happened to her. All the deepfakes online of her are not convincing in the slightest. They're also explicitly mentioned as deepfakes. She's also bridged this gap between deepfakes and committing actual violence, like burning women alive. It's nonsensical. And it's funny how she's complaining about this. This is somebody who has a disability. She has Tourette's. She frequently will yell out expletives, including racist phrases like the N-word. That has been far more of a burden on her career and her relationships and how people view her than these deepfakes. The N-word controversy with her Tourette's was such a huge deal. People wanted to ban her off of Twitch. Nobody is convinced by these deepfakes, and then she's trying to get you to have sympathy for her for the deepfakes when clearly her actual disability is more of a problem for her.
That's how it feels to be suddenly put in sex work when you never consented.
So this is a similar argument she made before. Again, it doesn't make any sense for her to say she was put into sex work without her consent, because she wasn't put into sex work. Somebody just made a composited image using an AI to put your face on somebody else's body. If we were to apply this logic, that if you were to make a deepfake porn of somebody, you are making them do sex work without their consent. Okay, if I make a deepfake of you working in an office job, am I making you work in that job without your consent? Why is there this double standard when it comes to porn? Again, this is all based on you being offended, and you have no way to make any kind of logically coherent argument against deepfake porn, so you're just throwing everything at the fucking wall and seeing what sticks.
But I think a big part of why it could be hard for men to understand this is because we may not respond the same way, or we believe we may not respond the same way, simply because we have not experienced a sexual objectification. So I try to put myself in this person's shoes, and I ask myself, hey, if there was a picture of my genitals on the internet, how much would it bother me?
Okay, so they brought up objectification. Objectification isn't inherently a bad thing. Objectification is a bad thing when it produces some sort of harm or violates somebody's rights. So if you rape somebody, obviously that's causing harm, that's violating somebody's rights, and you are treating them purely as a sexual object without any care for their well-being or their rights. Now, when you go and look for somebody's photo that you think is sexy and you masturbate to them, yes, you are objectifying them in some way in a sexual manner, but that's not harming them or violating their rights. When somebody looks up photos of Sweet Anita or deliberately tries to look for deepfake porn, that is sexual objectification, but in no way is that violating her rights or generating any kind of harm. So when they bring up objectification, that's just a buzzword. It means nothing. You can objectify people in all kinds of ways, not just in a sexual manner. When you ask a waiter or a server at a restaurant for food, you're objectifying them. You're using them as a means to an end to get food. When you call the police because you think somebody might have broken into your house or stolen your car, you are objectifying them. You are using them as a means to an end to solve some sort of crime that affects you or to protect yourself. There are all kinds of ways where you can objectify other people that are not seen as bad and are just normal. Even with like very close intimate partners like a wife or a husband, you can sexually objectify them. You have to. People are physical objects that exist in reality. And yes, you do want to get certain things from certain people, like sexual satisfaction. Just because you're objectifying somebody, it doesn't mean you're treating them as like scum, less than human, like they are a literal object. So again, this is a buzzword. It's being misused, and they're just trying to attach words that have a negative connotation to deepfake porn so that you just associate deepfake porn with the ultimate evil. And Dr. K, again, made a disanalogous situation where, oh, but how would you feel if somebody uploaded a naked photo of you online? Well, again, that's not what a deepfake is. A deepfake is your face superimposed onto somebody else's naked body. So it's completely disanalogous.
It's kind of like almost leaning into what you said, is that men don't get objectified quite as much, and therefore we may not understand what the harm is if we haven't experienced it ourselves.
And again, here's a clip of sweet Anita objectifying a man.
Now, this gas man looked like an even cuter version of Captain America. You know in anime when like you open the door and someone's literally sparkling? Like there's a sound effect and there's a guy and it's like pink background and hearts in the background. And it's just like, hello, I've come to change your gas meter. It was like that. I was like, whoa. I'm so sorry I'm late, guys. At least I had a good view, but I was late because there was someone fixing my my gas meter. And he heard me complimenting him outside my front door because he hadn't left yet. And he slipped his phone number on a little card through my door. I thought he was still here. I was like, I definitely let him out, right? Because like, he's just there listening to me go, did I check out his ass? I don't know.
Again, all of this comes down to entitlement. The issue with men not understanding your point of view isn't that, oh, men haven't ever been objectified before or sexualized, so they couldn't possibly know what it's like. The difference here is that most men aren't overly paid e-celebrities who have entitlement complexes who think the world should just bow to them. That's the fucking difference, and that's why most men don't sympathize with you.
If I posted pictures of my genitals on the internet and it spread, people would change their behavior towards me significantly. The minute that I seem sexually available in any way, shape, or form, I'm fair game to humiliate, physically assault, rape, and attack. And this happens to porn stars. There are many porn stars who get murdered on their doorstep because a fan of their work will think that they're easy and that they will just sleep with anyone. And so there's this idea that the minute you are consensually sexual, everyone can help themselves to you. And I've experienced this and I've seen it happen to other people.
Again, this is nonsensical rambling. This is an emotional manipulation tactic to get you to associate deepfake porn with murder, with rape, with all kinds of nasty things. First of all, people know that Sweet Anita is a sexual being. She's made that clear with the content she uploads.
My tits are all over the place. They're wild. Woo! They're my accent is like bitchin'. Get out. It's my accent fluctuates. It's really annoying. My accent handwriting hand job. My accent, my hand job.
Secondly, most women who are victims of rape or murder don't work in the sex industry. So why you would mention that porn stars have been raped and murdered, yeah, that happens to women outside of the sex industry. Are you trying to tell everybody that only porn stars or hookers or women who work in the sex industry get raped and murdered? Stupid. And third, men are the most likely group to be victims of homicide or serious physical assaults. According to the Canadian Centre for Justice, men made up 74% of homicide victims. Men were also twice as likely to be victims of assault with a weapon or assault resulting in bodily injury, and 3 times as likely as women to be victims of aggravated assault. So again, is it any wonder that men aren't sympathizing with you when you see statistics like this? Men are 2 to 3 times more likely to get assaulted or murdered, and here you are making up this nonsensical story that is completely fucking baseless. You have no evidence to support this, that if somebody makes a deepfake porn of you, you're more likely to get raped, assaulted, or murdered. No shit, men aren't fucking taking you seriously.
So when you create a pornographic video of me and it's indistinguishable from reality, how is a future employer, if I change jobs or move on with my life, ever going to know it's not real?
Again, this is just a lie. She is deliberately lying. You can do the research for yourself. Obviously, I can't show it on screen because of YouTube's terms of service, but none of the deepfakes that are made of Sweet Anita are convincing. There's tons of artifacting. Skin tones don't match up. Voice doesn't match up. Hair doesn't match up. The way the AIs, like the AI program has wrapped her face around another person's face, it fundamentally changes the proportion and look of her face, where it just doesn't look like the same person. Nobody would come across this 5-10 years ago and, like, by accident see this and think, oh, that's Sweet Anita. It just looks like a different person. Again, you can see for yourself. It's not convincing. She's lying. And even if she wasn't lying, all of these videos so far that I've been able to come across, they all say deepfake. So if an employer 5-10 years in the future was looking up porn of her for whatever fucking reason, apparently that's a normal thing to do after a job interview, they would come across this and see it's fake. So again, in the hypothetical situation she's proposed here, where, oh, an employer might stumble across this and think it's real, again, that would be illegal. Making a fucking deepfake of somebody, convincing other people that it is real in a manner that could actually damage their reputation or show them performing like an illegal act, that in and of itself is illegal. So what is the problem here? There's no inherent problem with these deepfakes. There's no problem with the deepfakes of Anita that already exist. The only problem is she's personally offended by it. So on the basis of her being personally offended, she's claiming it's immoral and should be illegal, even though she has no argument why any particular deepfake of her is either illegal or harming her in any meaningful way.
I mean, deepfakes can be used with children's faces.
So when she brings up something like this, I don't know if she's trying to make an argument against banning deepfake technology altogether. If you make a deepfake porn with a child's face, that's already illegal. So what are you complaining about? Like, again, she's making disanalogous examples for when deepfakes are used to commit illegal activities, and she's using that as a basis for when deepfakes are used to do harmless, non-illegal things. So, like, what? Do you want to ban deepfake technology altogether? Should we also ban Photoshop because you can use Photoshop to superimpose a child's face into a pornographic scene? Like, should film be banned because you could do the same thing with film? I don't know what she's talking about, and I don't think she knows what she's talking about.
Yes, we know that there is a huge mass appetite for non-consensual sexual images, that this is a massive problem. And I think that we can all be doing our part to not only not consume that sort of thing, but also to make it known that it's not acceptable to consume it. It's not acceptable to share it. It does make you a piece of shit to want to see this stuff.
And again, she provides no argument for this claim. So now we've literally gotten to the point where if you watch deepfakes, you're just a bad person. You're just a bad person. Why? I don't know. I guess it offends her or something. Who knows? She didn't make any sense in this entire video, but I am willing to debate Sweet Anita. If she's interested, she can just contact me either through Instagram or through my business email, businessvegangains@gmail.com. If anybody wants to debate me on this topic, I'd be more than happy to. Again, just contact me. Hope you learned something from this or whatever. I don't care. Bye.